discuss a little bit about. Actually, I'd like you to keep on sending your messages here, typing your ideas, because I would like you to be, together with me, reflecting on how we can provide more support to our students. Thank you for participating. So, of course, this session is all about autonomy. For sure, this is what calls our attention today, because we see we have many different tools, especially involving technology, using internet, that can provide the students the strategies, the knowledge, the learning, the activities that they can take advantage of. And we believe that somehow the students would benefit a lot more from the technology, because if you compare this to the past, they have a lot more to do nowadays. They can practice speaking nowadays with technology, using AI or many other different tools. They can interact with each other, using messages or videos, audios, whatever. But the thing is, when we talk about autonomy, we are not only talking about sources and tools to get information or to use and put your language into practice. We are talking about something that goes a little bit deeper than just a good use of technology. So the point is, the concept of autonomy, it's going to call your attention to something very specific here, and something that sometimes I believe that we teachers, we could take our students a little bit further when we do this in classes. The ability to make your own decisions without being controlled by anyone else. This is something that we should reflect on, because if we just analyze the definition, we may conclude that, well, they are free to do whatever they want. Since they are autonomous, they are going to be ready to make their own decisions. And this maybe goes on the opposite direction of what we teachers are planning to do. So, what is the right balance between autonomy and dependence, or what autonomy is and what autonomy is not? So far, guys, let me know if you are interested in providing tools for your students to develop autonomy in the process of learning. Do you think that this is necessary? Do you do this with your students in your classrooms? How do you bring autonomy to your students in your classes? This is the question. What do you do in order to bring more autonomy to your students in the classes? What do you usually do to make them more independent? Let me hear you. Let me read your ideas here. The problem is consistency. They can watch YouTube teachers do exercises on internet sites, Duolingo kind of apps. It would be nice to have something teachers could track without being by their side to do it. How do we do this, right? Because somehow, Gislaine, there is something interesting about this. I know that some of the students, of course, not all of them, unfortunately, but some of these students, they go further when they want to have more information, when they want to be more independent. So they search for more. They go on YouTube and they find out, very interesting videos, by the way. I've seen this happening, at home with my son. And the idea is that they are searching for more. This is something that is out of our control when it's outside the class, right? But inside the classroom, then this is where we are going to lead them. So I believe that they will benefit from many different sources that they find in order to keep on learning, or maybe to go even further to what they are having in the classroom. But this is something that it's out of our control. But when it's under our control, how can we contribute to this improvement that we want them to, keep on having? Because this is not, just a single step. It's a process. It's a step-by-step thing. So it takes time also. And depending on the age group, for sure, they will be a lot more dependent on us, and sometimes they are going to take more risks. And when it comes to teenagers specifically, we know that they tend to take more risks. Our role is still very important on how to balance this, right? Ghislaine said also that she suggests movies and music. Anything else? What else do you bring to your classes in order to make your students more independent, more autonomous? Anything different from these ideas here? Someone is typing. No more ideas? Okay, so let's move on. Talking about autonomy and making your own decisions. This is a very important feature of autonomy, for sure. It's not only part of the definition, but it's a feature to make your own decisions. And this called my attention because it's also important to know what autonomy is, but it's important, the same amount, what autonomy is not. And that's why sometimes teachers, they get kind of insecure because they believe that if they are too independent, it's going to be a mess. The kind of classroom that we find, when I just started this session today talking about what do you think your students will do if you're not around. So we believe that they're going to be, doing something else. They will be talking to each other, but not specifically, about the subjects that they're learning. They're going to do something else. They're going to hang out. They're going to be using social media, but not studying English. But the point is, autonomy is not unlimited freedom. This is something to reflect a little bit on. And autonomy is not the absence of a teacher. Now saying that you are the leader, you're going to guide your students, you are in charge of taking them, or guiding them in this learning process, for sure, you're going to be there, right? You're going to make it clear what they are supposed to do, and you're going to guide them through the learning process. Autonomy is not learning without guidance, which I have just mentioned. And autonomy is not about do as you wish. So when we say autonomy is the ability of making your own decisions without being controlled by anybody else. That's the definition, right? And we are saying here that autonomy is not doing as you wish, the whole freedom, to do whatever you want, that you're not going to be guided by somebody else. So if autonomy is not none of these things here, so what is autonomy? Autonomy is active engagement. It's when we make our students participate in this whole process. But the thing is, how are we going to teach them how to be more active? Because teenagers specifically, they tend to be sometimes lazy. They don't want to take risks giving their own opinions, especially on things that they are going to be, exposed to somebody else. Sometimes they lack the language. Sometimes they just feel that they fail, in English, that they are terrible and they don't have anything to say. They don't want to be tested. They want to be, in the comfort zone forever. But making our students more engaged, more active is also something that we can teach them how to do. So this is part of being autonomous. This is part of being more independent. Gradual decision making. This is also part of autonomy, because it's not something, it's all at once and then they are ready. They are going to be prepared for hard tasks and easy tasks or intermediate tasks. It's not that way. We need to make them aware of this process of having more responsibility and more freedom at the same time. And gradually, we can make them more actively engaged by showing them gradual decision-making activities or tasks or any kind of activities that you provide. You are going to gradually increase the amount of independence. So this is something important for some teachers, because I've realized that sometimes teachers are afraid of providing more freedom for the students because they believe they're never going to get the right answers. They are never going to be able to learn anything. They are never going to improve because they will be kind of lost. And as we can see here, being autonomous doesn't mean that they are going to do whatever they want at any time and you're not going to provide any kind of support or limits. That's something important to mention. Why did I choose this topic to talk about today? I've had some opportunities to observe some teachers teaching using our materials. Sometimes I talk to many teachers about the classes and how hard it is to teach teenagers because of all the hormones things and all the impact that social media has on their behavior. And somehow it's becoming more, and more challenging each day. And then when I observed some classes, I noticed that we still have some teachers doing exactly what teachers did when I was a student back in the 80s. Yes, back in the 80s. So I realized that it was time to wake up and maybe to start bringing some risks, but controlled risks to classroom in order to make your students more prepared for real life. Because we are not going to control the environment all the time. We are not going to control whatever they do outside the classroom. If they search for more English, in YouTube, and what kind of videos they are going to watch, what kind of language they are going to be exposed to and learn, this is out of our control. But the thing is, if in classroom we go step by step, providing them strategies, tools, opportunities to gradually increase decision making, we are making them ready for life. We are making them part of their own plan for the future. That's why it's so important to talk about autonomy in the classroom, because if you are a teacher, I suppose you still believe in education. I believe that you are here to see what are the other possibilities available in order to keep helping your students grow, right? So autonomy is also about self management. And sometimes we just, especially if we teach big groups, sometimes it's very hard to see this working because we don't have much time to provide, support or feedback individually. And that's why we need to bring some tools to present to the classes, to present to the groups, in order to make them be aware of what they can do for themselves. They can do a lot. If Ghislaine said here, right, about the YouTube teachers, about the sites that they visit, they search for more. This is somehow autonomy because it's clearly kind of self-management. And we must know how to deal with this because they are going to bring this to the classroom. And sometimes they are going to influence the others, right? They are going to influence the classmates as well. So the point is, how are we going to provide this? How are we going to teach self-management? This is sometimes very hard to do because we need to cover the lesson, we need to prepare them for the tests, we need to play the listening, we need to check the oral performance. There are so many things that the teachers have to do. Sometimes it's, a lot more to be done when we want to provide more than just language learning. So we are talking about how to prepare these teenagers for the future. And that's why self management is totally connected to autonomy. And this is a very important step on building autonomy in the learning process, but not only, as I said, learning and making this happening, for their lives. Also, autonomy is awareness of how to learn, the tools, the techniques, the strategies, and of course, we can talk about the learning styles here. This is something important. We cannot forget about it because this is the way that the students, can have faster results on their learning when they know how they learn better. And if they don't know how they learn better, this is our job to bring some light, to this, to make them really believing that they are gonna do something for themselves because they know how they learn better. So it's a way to bring them more awareness really of how they work better, how they can learn anything they want if they know how to do it, right? If they put into practice all the tools and all the strategies they have. Also, we are talking about autonomy here in different kinds of classrooms that you have. Of course, if you teach large groups, uh, what I've seen is that sometimes it's hard to control what is going on because sometimes, as we have big groups, we also have to control the discipline in the classroom and also the language acquisition. As I said, there are far too many things to do. If you teach a small group in a PLS, in a private language institute or school, it's going to be a lot easier for you. But the point is, it's not the size of the group that is going to define if you are going to be successful teaching them how to become more autonomous or not. It's not the size of the group. It's actually what you do in order to bring this as opportunities for practice regularly in your classrooms. Okay. All right. There is a question here. Teach them how to use the tools for their benefit. Yes, exactly. This is all about learning styles. I remember clearly that when I was a student, I tend to write definitions, very poor definitions in the beginning, because, I was in the basic level and I couldn't, add more words to the things that I wanted to define. But I remember this clearly, that I always preferred writing definitions than drawing, because I suck at drawing. I'm terrible at it. So this was a way for me, to keep my ideas, to keep my brain working, to, finding ways to write the definitions I needed, even though I lacked the language. I found myself, in challenging situations that made me go further while I was an English student. So this is a very important thing. Sometimes the students, they don't know how they learn better. Nowadays, as they have their own cell phones, they can record themselves and listen to themselves later. Have you tried this? This is a very good way to make them aware of pronunciation, intonation, if they are clear about their ideas. But we are afraid of doing this, or sometimes, especially now, because of all this, the regulations towards the use of cell phone, we cannot take advantage of this anymore in the classes, right? But in some schools, the teachers, they have iPads available, or tablets. I believe that you can take advantage of this. In Cambridge One, for example, our platform, there are some exercises that in which the students can record their own voices. So this is a way to make them aware that sometimes maybe it's going to be more beneficial to them if they record themselves and listen to themselves than just writing. So this is very important. This is actually essential, to teach them about different tools that they can use in order to improve in the language learning. With examples in class, I don't know if I got what you asked here. Teach them how to use the tools for their benefit, for sure. With examples in class. Yes, I mentioned the audio, for example, but there is more. They can draw, they can, work with somebody else. They can create their mind maps, right? Or word map, if you prefer. There are many different tools, and we are going to see some of them in some slides ahead. But the thing is, if we never allow this kind of discussion, or allow these topics to be, part of our classes, they are never going to be aware of what tools they have available so they can improve faster. That's the most important part, to allow some room for this kind of discussions. I believe that the students are going to benefit from this, and also the teachers, for sure, because then they are going to be more engaged, they're going to be more motivated. As they know they are improving, they will feel more confident. That's why, the consequences of having these kind of discussions, or guidance, they are, of course, they are going to benefit a lot. If we don't have them, then we waste time sometimes, making students do all the time the same kind of thing, believing that they're going to achieve their goals, and they are not. For beginners, Gislaine is saying here, for beginners, I ask questions, the basic ones, and ask them to answer. Private students, of course. Yes, for sure, questions, interaction. That's why, the students will always need you, teachers. AI is not going to replace you because you are the one who is going to find the balance, of what the students need, what they already have. You are going to provide the feedback. Penny has also helped us here with all this concept of autonomy. She said in this perfect book that I believe all the teachers already know. Uh, I hope you have read this book, which is fantastic when it comes to English language teaching. And she wrote here, in principle, of course, most teachers would like to see themselves as supportive rather than dictatorial, for sure, right, guys? And to encourage learner independence and autonomy. But in extreme, pay attention to this word, an extreme learner-centered approach where learning is totally based on the student initiative can actually be counterproductive, particularly in language courses, of course. That's why autonomy is not do as you wish. They need us. They need you as, the guidance, with the guidance that they need in order to improve, in order to learn. Because we know language is composed of a collection of arbitrary sounds, words, and grammatical combinations. There is no way the students can discover or create them without an instructor, without you. Effective language teaching, therefore, should arguably be based on a substantial amount of teacher-initiated instruction, though student-centered activation has an essential place as well. So see, what is the right word for this? Balance. What is the balance? What is the right balance in your sixth grade students, in your classes? The seventh graders, the eighth graders, the ninth graders, or the teenagers you have in your language institute. What is the right balance? What is the right amount of student-centered and teacher leading the way? Also, she said that besides the two main functions of instructor and activator, the teacher also has several more functions during any lesson. So see, guys, we are not saying that the students are going to do anything they want at any time, whatever they want. That's not autonomy. We are saying that they depend on you in order to be more autonomous. That's why it's a process. It's gradually implemented in the classroom. But we cannot forget that we need to provide support so the students can become gradually more autonomous. She said here oh no, wait a minute. There is something funny coming, but wait a minute. She said here the roles of the teacher, and I really believe that this is important for us to recap, right? She said that the teacher has all these roles, in the classroom of being an instructor, activator, a model of the language. This is for sure the most important thing in a class. You are the model all the time, especially the way you behave with your students when they fail, when they do great, when they are doing more than you expected, when they do less than you expected. You are the model, not only of the language. Just don't forget about it. You are the provider of feedback. You are the supporter, assessor, manager, and motivator. And there is something funny about it. And I'm going to tell you what I did. While I was planning this session, I decided to take some risks talking to Chat GPT. I don't do this very often. I'm still, trying to find my way dealing with artificial intelligence. I'm not a very tech savvy person, so that's why, it's still very challenging for me. But the funny thing is that I asked ChatGPT to come up with an analogy or an idea of what a teacher does in a classroom and the nowadays the presence of AI in our students' lives. And then ChatGPT provided me this. You spend your days being part educator, part psychologist, part project manager, part detective, and sometimes part superhero. And you're worried about AI? That's like a Swiss Army knife worrying about a paperclip. Well, Luciana wouldn't write anything, similar to this. But I thought it was an interesting analogy when ChatGPT provided me this, like Swiss Army knife worrying about a paperclip. What is a Swiss Army knife? It's something that you can use for anything you need, if you are lost in the jungle, right? So you can do a lot. You can survive. That's the ultimate goal, right? The point is, I took a little bit further, this conversation, if you know what I mean, with ChatGPT. And then I asked, as an AI, how do you see it competing against teachers? And then it replied, not really competing in the sense of replacing teachers. It's more like shifting parts of what teaching involves. AI is good at things like explaining concepts in different ways on demand, giving practice, feedback, examples, helping with planning, summaries and resources, supporting individualized pacing. I said, oh, yeah, somehow I agree with you, ChatGPT. It seems that you're very smart. But then it continued. But teaching isn't mainly a content delivery job. A lot of it is reading a room, and adapting in real time, building trust, motivation, and confidence, managing emotions, group dynamics, and behavior, deciding what to emphasize and when, giving meaning and directions to learning, noticing things the students themselves don't say out loud. It's like reading between the lines, getting the atmosphere, of what is going on. So that human layer is hard to replicate because it depends on context, relationships, and responsibility in a shared environment. So, a more accurate framing is AI competes with some tasks that teachers do, but not with the role of a teacher as a whole. And as Penier said, our roles are many. Why did I mention, AI here? Because many people believe that the students are going to be too independent. They are going to be, totally in charge of their own learning process because now they have far too many tools. They are ready to do this. This is not true. Sweden has proven that technology by itself are are leading the students to failure. That's why they are switching off the tablets, the iPads, whatever, and the students are going to use paper, books, pencils, erasers. Again, more than ever. So it seems that believing that technology is going to provide everything we need, it's not true. It's not going to work. That's why we need to guide our students when it comes to being more autonomous. Isn't it interesting? We are talking about autonomy. We are talking about the role of technology when it comes to autonomy and the huge universe that is available for our students to improve, but it's not working. They are not improving, not as fast as we would like them to. So that's something to reflect a little bit on. And some teachers believe that they don't have, too much support on how to equip the students with the tools they need. In Cambridge, we have developed this Cambridge Life Competencies Framework, and pay attention to the word life. We are not talking about language learning, not only, we are talking about the attitude of knowing how to learn, on learning how to keep on improving on themselves, right? Instead of only depend on you all the time. So we provide this. It's available. It's free of charge. It's online. If you want to download this, you can. You go to cambridge.org/ELT/blog/ then you're going to find these all the booklets that we have available for the 21st century skills, and learning to learn is one of them. That's the one I picked here today, but you are going to be in contact with all the other skills that we are talking about for the 21st century. And if we look a little bit deeper into the learning to learn, we want our students to develop practical skills to support and take control of their learning and reflect on their own progress. This is all we want them to do. So the core areas that we have within the learning to learn competency is they are, right? Developing skills and strategies for learning, taking control of your own learning, and reflecting on and evaluating your own learning. So if you don't work with Cambridge books, if you don't know Cambridge Life Competencies Framework, if your material doesn't provide anything of this kind of support on how to teach our students to learn on their own or to keep on improving, using or making active their own learning styles, you can find, this guidance in this booklet that I have just mentioned. We are going to see how it works here. I selected secondary because we are talking about teenagers, but in this booklet, you will see for different age groups, okay? If you see here the core areas, as I mentioned before, the 3 core areas, we are going to focus now on these developing skills and strategies for learning. This is something that you can do, on Monday, if you're teaching your groups only on Monday. You can put this into practice as fast as you want because they are easy to do. Take a look at this. What are the components that we have here as suggestions, right? Some can-do statements, some examples on how to measure this, how to make it clear what the students are doing in order to develop this competency, and some example language as well. So the first one we have is engaging in directed activities. Some can-do statements, some examples that we have here: follows instructions to complete homework as required. And some example language that we can use, put into practice, because we are also teaching English, right? When is the homework for? Something that is part of our classroom conversation, classroom language. Make it feasible, make it real. Another component that is going to be part of developing skills and strategies for learning, using effective systems for finding, keeping, and retrieving information. What do they do in order to achieve these goals? How do they organize notes systematically? Do we do this with our students? Do we teach them how to do it? Oh, they don't want to write anymore because they are more into typing. Well, they are not going to do whatever they want in the classroom. You are going to guide them through the process that they need. The brain needs to write. So they are going to do what you're telling them to. And some other suggestions that we have here, if we see the part related to taking control of your own learning, we have, for example, taking initiative to improve own learning. For example, choose a way to practice English outside the classroom. Just like Gislaine said here, watching clips, TV films in English, using English on social media, etc., etc. So the booklet is going to guide you on this. Very useful, very easy to be done. So if you're not working with Cambridge books, I'm so sorry to know this, but I must tell you that you are safe, with this support that you are going to find online. But let's go ahead. We also have suggestions here on organizational tools. Take a look at this. The use of mind maps, how important it is. How do we teach our students to prepare, for a listening activity? How do they take notes on this? If they're going to listen to, 3 speakers, how are they going to divide, what each speaker said? How are they going to organize the notes? The booklet's going to provide you this kind of support, and then you can bring to your classes, right? But there is more. If you're working with our materials, if you already know Shape It and Own It, they are the secondary course books that we're going now to have the second edition, and we are very happy to announce that. Shape It and Own It, they already bring this section of learning to learn. Let's take a look here. I got this from Shape It level 2. We have the unit structure, and then we have the specific section related to learning to learn. So this is a whole page dedicated to autonomy, to how we are going to develop autonomy among our students. Take a look at this activity here. Make a vocabulary study plan. So if your students, they cannot remember the words very easily, if they are reaching, intermediate levels and they're still using, oh, this is good and this is bad all the time, we see that they need more practice of vocabulary. So what can we do in order to help them become more autonomous? They are going to do this quiz, right, in which we have some questions about their own practice, and they are reviewing English. They are seeing the structures. They are reading more, right? So they are doing this quiz, but they are revising the language that they need as well. Then they're going to see the results, which, what is the score here? And then they are going to evaluate themselves. Then they're going to work with a partner. They are going to discuss what they do, what they never do, what they never thought of, and what you are going to bring as, kind of stimulus for them to make use of from that class on. And then they are going to make a list of 8 words from this unit that you want to learn. Make flashcards. So, have you ever taught your students to do, to create their own flashcards. Have you ever thought of that? Word cards, very useful. This is a very good tool to teach them autonomy. Hey, guys, you don't need me to teach you all the words. You can create your own flashcards. You can draw if you want, be as creative as you want. Go ahead. And then that's done. This is something that if you do once, twice, three times, they are going to put into practice. If they don't put this into practice, it's probably because they prefer something else. But this is about preference. And then teachers cannot interfere in this, right? But we are teaching them how to do it. Also, they are going to search online for a digital portfolio. Use it to make a vocabulary study plan. Share your findings with your classmates. So we see technology being involved here. We see that they are going to make use of technology, but for a specific purpose, for something that is going to bring them more ability to deal with decision making. And then they're going to put this into practice. Take a look here. The day, day 1, 2, 3, the date, if they have done it or not, is like a tracker of this study, vocabulary study plan. So how useful it is for us teachers first, and then for our students. See how all of us can benefit from this. A lot, right? Then we also have here another example that I took from level 4. I know the image is not very clear there, but they have the word building activities from words, because learning to learn sections, they are spread all over the unit, right? And then at the end, they have a single page on this. Then we have here another example, learn to set and achieve learning goals. Hardly ever we talk about this. Why are you studying English? What do you need it for? What do you want, to study English, to learn English? Do you think it's important? It's not? Let's discuss this, because once they know the reason, once they know how to do it, they are going to be more motivated. They have another example. They organize their ideas according to the model they had, and then they're going to create their own. Searching online for something else in order to provide more support. So it's very easy to do this in the classroom, but we cannot skip this page and, do something else because this is going to be more important. No, this is important. Teaching the tools they need to improve is very important. A good way to get students to take charge of their own learning is to help them think about why they want or need to learn English and what is going to take for them to succeed. Like what there is a price to pay. So if they want to improve, if they want to learn, if they want to become proficient speakers, they need to pay the price. And this is something that must be very clear with our students from the very beginning. All right, guys, thank you so much. I'd like to know if you have any questions. Tão verdadeiro isso tudo, Gislaine. Thank you so much. Yeah, it's something that, I knew it was going to provoke teachers as well, but this was my ultimate goal, because we need to reflect on this. Sometimes we complain a lot about the students' behavior, about their production, about, the lack of improvement, but somehow, I guess, we could go beyond, the language itself. We must prepare these teenagers for life. And this is preparing for life, really. Thank you, Lou. Thanks a bunch. Thank you, guys. There is something else I need to say. Just a quick reminder that Cambridge Day is coming, and we are posting all the information about Cambridge Day in our Instagram page. Please follow us on Cambridge, Brazil. And then these are the dates and the cities in which we are going to have Cambridge Days. If you come to Belo Horizonte, we are going to be together. I'm based in Belo Horizonte, so I'll be working on the 23rd of July in this very special event. It's going to be a pleasure to meet you guys there. Okay? Thank you so much. Thank you, folks. See you. Bye-bye.